Hey yo, what's up? This is Cyber Martial Occurrence. Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-telepathy all day, anti-America all day, anti-cop all day, and everybody with me up. So, we established that the lowest age was 7, right? So, for all of y'all that don't know, in America, right here, not in the tropical land, tropical island, not a tropical country, right here in America. The age of 7 was the age of consent. That's the lowest. I would almost say worldwide. So here we are with all these people, witch hunting people, playing around people, playing games with people, right? And you got, as far as your history, the lowest age being at 7 years old. This bracket basically, folks, covers all the kids people be talking about they trying to protect. Can we agree on that? Can we agree that this is the lowest age? 7. I mean, how much lower can we get? 3? I mean, I'm sure things happen to 3-year-olds. I've seen it before, but on the average, what we're talking about here is 7-year-old. Oh, 8, 9. This is what everybody's complaining about, right? So that's the age of consent, the lowest age of consent, right here in America, 7 years old. See, with a country like America, you should have knew this day was coming. A day where immorality, would cause them to lose. This is why they lost, because of their lack of morality. We didn't have to blow up any bombs. We didn't have to, do what they did on January 6th of last year. We didn't have to do that. All we had to do, and you knew it like I knew it, was find some information that was credible, some secret information about what they was doing. This is it. This is the information. The age of 7 is in the bracket of most kids, right? So most brackets, we talk about, age-wise, kid-wise, starts what? From about 5 to, and then on up. So 7-year-olds would be in the brackets of the 5-year-olds. That's the same bracket, which makes it worse. It makes it worse because it's safe to say that 7-year-olds are in the brackets of 5-year-olds. That's the same bracket, folks. The age brackets for anything, even most things, whatever it's pertaining to, there's 0 to 4, I would imagine. And then 5 is really the beginning of an age bracket. So it's safe to say that the age of consent, being at 7, is in the age bracket of 5. Unfortunately. Yep. Safe to say that, right? Well, look at it. Let's look at it this way. Seven years old is only, what, 2 years away from 5? 24 months away from 5. So there's really not much of a difference between a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, which makes it even worse. The age of consent was set in Delaware at 7 years old, only 24 months away from 5 years old. Men could have sex with human beings that were only 24 months away from 5 years old. You want to take it a step further? I don't know if you can bear it. 36 months would be 4 years old. So 4-year-old, 7-year-old children that these men were having sex with 36 months before that, they was 4 years old. So the government gave consent, being at the age of 7 years old, to have sex with human beings only 36 months away from 4 years old. I know that I gotta hit you with different angles. 36 months from 4 years old. That was the age of consent in Delaware in 1880. 36 months. From 4 years old, guys. 36 months. From 4 years old. That's what 7 years old is. 36 months from 4 years old. Men would stick in their penis. Grown men, not children messing around with each other. Grown men messing with children 36 months older than 4 years old. The American government gave consent to have sex with human beings only 36 months older than 4 years old. The American government gave consent, made laws that gave consent, that gave rights to have sex with human beings only 36 months older than 4 years old of age. Now, this is how I'm going to put it. It's making me angry. I think I need to go on. This is how I'm going to put it. The nest should be burned down. Okay? The nest should be burned down. We don't have to talk about how long ago this was. We don't need to have that conversation. We don't need to have that conversation. Okay? What we need to look at is that the nest just need to be burned down for what they did already. This is how we got to put it. Because these are Jedi mind trick people. That's what they are. So we don't want to hear none of that long ago, this was long ago stuff. No, we don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that. What I'm looking at is the nest need to be burned down because of what they did. It's just so horrific and nasty. It's just like if we found out this was done in a house. Would you want that house to stand? You want it burned down, right? You don't want no more memories in that house. You don't want, nobody wants to move in the house. Once you told them that 7-year-old children were having sex with adults in this house, you don't want no one else to live there, right? It don't matter how long ago it happened, right? Can we all agree on that? Listen, Americans. I know you almost got an attention deficit, but come on, listen to me. If there was a house, even if it was built in 1880, right? If adults were having sex with 7-year men having sex with 7-year-old girls in this house built in 1880, and this was the history, what would you want done with that house? You would want it burned to the ground and nuked. Okay? You would not want it to stand. You don't want it to go through any updating. You don't want the plumbing updated. You don't want the roof updated. You don't want nothing updated. You don't want the driveways paved with marble. You don't want this. You don't want to mix the new modern architect kind of technology and material mixed with what it was in the 1880s. You don't want that mixed. You don't want nothing going on. You don't want to keep the backyard. You don't want to keep the front yard. You would, I guarantee you, rather for this to be burned down to the ground. Right? That's the first thing most people gonna say. I mean, I know you got jerks out there, but for most of us who have some type of conscience when it comes to children, even the toughest of us, what would you want done with a house that was built in 1880 and men were having sex in this house with 7-year-old girls? Now, a 7-year-old girl is undeveloped in most cases. Considering this is 1880, definitely undeveloped. No hormones in the food to where it would affect their bodies. What would you want done with the house? All you fathers out there that have 7-year-old children, 7-year-old daughters. What if that was your family? Just put yourself in that mindset. You have to relate to it, is what I'm asking you to do. Is relate to this. 7-year-old children are having sex by law, by the American government, not by some foreign ancient government that we don't know about. Some ancient history, some ancient civilization, some ancient government, some ancient empire. No, the same empire that you're under right now. The same empire that you're under right now. The same government that you're under right now. It's the same one. They didn't become something else. It's not another government. It's not another empire. It's the American empire that I'm talking about here, folks. Okay? What would you want done? Just like I mentioned that house. What would you want done with this empire? You wouldn't care about how what year the house was built. You didn't care what house. You wouldn't care about what year the house was built. Whether it was 1996 or 1995, 1992. You don't care. You don't care when this house was built, do you? All you care about, I don't care if it was in times of the dinosaurs. If you found out the information where the cavemen were having sex with 7-year-old girls in this house, this prehistoric house, you want the prehistoric house burned down, right? Right or wrong? If this was the true story, or even if it was even folklore, you would still want that prehistoric dino house burnt down, right? You would. You would. And yet, when I talk to you about what the White House did by allowing the age of consent to be set at 7, the White House, the American government, the American empire put that into law for 7-year-old children to have sex. And you still want this to stand. You still want this to be surviving, striving, and thriving. And I just told you, and in this White House, in this empire, the law that they made as adults allowed men to have sex with 7-year-old girls. And you still want it, and you're trying to get back to normal right now. You're praying for America to get back to normal right now. Folks, you gotta admit, we were deceived to think that this country cared about our families. But there is no evidence of this. When has this whole country ever had the age of consent at 18 in 50 states? Never. Go ahead and answer that question quick and sharply. Never. So this whole country has never had and lived in a mature country where the laws are adults is having sex with adults. That has never been the law. What the law has been is, in the majority, it allows adults to have sex with children. This is your world. This is your country. I'm showing you your country. I don't have a trick law book. You can go check it out yourself. Okay? And I want to know where you want to go from here. Like if I was driving you around, where you want to go now? You want to go back to the construction site, building on this country? Or do you want to go get enough gasoline to burn it down? Do you want to push this campaign about this information to go ahead and burn this down? Because you know how I'm feeling based on now I've found this new information. I'm feeling like let's just let it fall and see what happens. And let's just see what we can get after it falls. Let's just see. Anything is better than the hypocrisy of these fools, man. when we thought it couldn't get no lower, when you thought I had refried this information enough, when you thought I've been harping on this long enough and it wasn't gonna go nowhere, lo and behold, I found out that the age of consent in the majority of this country was set at 10 years old and 12 years old, and the lowest being 7 years old. Just when you thought I was done and I had said it to the point of exhaustion. Just when you thought I had exhausted my resources and information. Just when you thought that I had exhausted this campaign. Just when you thought that, I turned the corner on you and came around the corner with 10 years old, 7 years old, 12 years old. Now, guys, you just thought about what I said. And you probably, if you're in your right mind, you probably wanted the house burned down in the 1880s that I described as an analogy. As an analogy, you probably wanted that 1880 house burned down to the ground that facilitated men having sex with 7-year-old girls. You would want that house burned down to the ground. So why don't you want this empire burned down to the ground? The time didn't matter with the 1880 house, did it? You don't care how old that house was. You only care about the history. Right? You only care about the history. It is horrific enough when adults have made these decisions. Competent mind people like me and you. You know how you keep your mind. You're a protector of children. You try to look out for children. Every time you see something on TV or somewhere on the internet, you keep a pure mind. This is what good human beings do. How do I know? Because I am one. You keep your mind pure on TV, when you're watching on TV concerning children. Anytime you see something on the Facebook, anything questionable concerning children, you're always keeping a pure mind. Well, folks, these people didn't do that. They did the unthinkable. They put in law that they could have sex with a 7-year-old girl. While you're trying to keep your mind clean. While you're trying your best to be a pure human being, these people got a history of putting into law now, not mistakes of men in their country, not the mistakes of their countrymen. No. Sitting down and putting it into law. Putting it into law that adults can have sex with 7 years old girls. In any state, I don't care. It could be one town. I don't care. The American government should have never let that happen. And so what you suppose we do? Because you're disgusted now. I'm disgusted. And when you're disgusted to this degree, even with 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children, when you're disgusted at this degree, there's nothing left to do but burn it down. This is the only way you're going to get past your disgust. I'm telling you. You're not going to be able to look these people in the face anymore. The more I give you guys this information, you're not going to be able to look Joe Biden in the face anymore. You're not going to definitely be able to look Donald Trump in the face. You're not going to be able to look Kamala Harris in the face, which I'm about to do a video about her. After she has been a prosecutor in the courts. She was a prosecutor in the courts. And she Is she showing any signs of changing the age of consent when she was a prosecutor in the courts for children? This is my understanding. This is what she was doing. So if that's your passion and that's your aura and energy, how is it that you can sit behind a desk day by day under laws that allow adults to have sex with children in 40 states? How can she do that? How can she, in her right conscience, if she had the right motives, if that really is her character, to defend and to enforce justice, how can she sit knowing behind a desk under a country that has laws that allow adults to have sex in 40 states with children? How can she sit behind a desk and allow that on her clock, on her time? It's besides me. It's besides me. At least show your separation from it. I'm not saying you're going to be able to do it overnight. Let's just hear your distaste, first of all, about this. Separate yourself from it. Maybe you can't do it on your own, but we haven't heard any distaste in you as a prosecutor in the courts. Does she know about the age of consent being at its lowest at 7 years of age? Does she know about that?